The most tricky bit about the dungeon Mists of Tirna Scithe is its name, without a doubt. However, tanking role is a tricky role, and this is another video where I will attempt to teach my fellow friends who are casuals, who are beginners to tanking roles, how to tank the Mists of Tirna Scithe dungeon. Please stick around. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Gyro. Mists of Tirna Scithe is an interesting dungeon. I actually quite like the dungeon, and today we're learning to tank it. I'm gonna show you the path through. There are no skips really, unfortunately, aside from a very tiny one at the very beginning, but we're gonna go through the whole dungeon. It's a full walkthrough. It's not a mythic, it's recorded in normal as the part of my leveling of my druid tank using Threads of Fate system. So we're gonna follow the tanking route. I'm gonna make all the calls that I can make here. Please use the map that I'm projecting on the screen for you, even though in this particular case the map is probably less effective / less useful compared to, say, Plaguefall or Necrotic Wake, where skips are really essential, and knowing the skips and knowing the right path can differentiate a good tank from a bad tank. In the Mists of Tirna Scithe, let's just call it Mists. In the Mists, I think it is kind of... Look, there is only one way, really. There is only one way other than the mysterious maze that we will get to. As you enter the dungeon, if there are no Night Fae people, there is not much else to do but to stick slightly leftish and pull the mobs in front of you. However, if there are Night Fae Covenant people in your group, they'll be able to open up this mini skip pathway on the left. They simply click on the kind of the vines there that overgrown the entrance to that little pathway, and you would be able to skip at least one group. It's not substantial, it's not huge, but it's a tiny little skip that's good to know. So depending on how good your pug people are and how tightly they keep up with you, you'll either have to only deal with the patrol of 2 mobs wandering about, or you will have to also pick up the 3 mob patrol that both are walking around there. So you'll either have to kill all of them, or you'll have to kill only that 2 mob pad. You'll inevitably have to get to the other side kind of the opening here and pull the enslaved Tirnian villager group, and only need to be aware as a tank for his fairly well telegraphed beam attack. It's kind of pollen attack or something like that, that if you stand in that beam, if you don't go to the side, which you should, it will disorient you, and it will most dangerously drop your aggro, making the mobs obviously charge from you as a tank to the rest of your group. And the harder the difficulty of the dungeon is, heroics, mythics and so on, the harder they will hit your people and might kill them quickly enough. So just look out and get out. You turn the corner, you make a couple more pulls. Drast mobs will drop some sort of a grounding or anchoring kind of blackish totem that will slow you down, so just get out of this area of effect and you will be fine. There is not an issue. Just before the area of the first boss, there is a little enclosed area on the left, which once again can be opened by a Night Fae Covenant person. There are mushrooms that grow there, and depending on the name of the mushroom, they do different stuff. As a tank, you need to pick up slightly larger, which is called Tough Shroom mushroom, that gives you a little bit of extra stamina. Once again, it's not a do or die type of thing, but it's good to know about this. It's good to kind of get that extra boost. Every little bit helps, why not? First boss, Ingra Malok. He has an enslaved Droman with him. You need to mark Droman with a skull to make sure that the group, your DPS, understand that Droman is a priority target. Why? Well, because if you leave him alone, he actually is creating quite a bit of an issue for your group, because he will be casting a lot of AoE, he will be casting that pollen beam that's going to disorient people, including yourself. And if you attack Droman, then when you get him relatively low on health, he will break free from the control of Ingra Malok, and he will then help you DPSing Ingra Malok, also CCing him a little bit for quite some time, stunning him for quite a bit of time. So he actually helps quite substantially. And even though the fight goes in such a way that Ingra Malok regains control of the Droman after a while, you still can capitalize on that initial freeing up of the Droman, and you can actually DPS. You can finish off Ingram Alok even before, I've done it several times, even before he regains control of the Droman. Now the infamous maze. Arguably the biggest part of this dungeon is getting through the maze. The basic idea is this. There will be little areas progressively revealed to you in the mists, with usually 4 stumps in them and exits covered in the mist, yeah? You need to check the symbols above each stump by standing next to it. Or telling your people, it actually helps a lot, telling the people to pick a stump and stand there not moving, so that everyone can see all 4 symbols at the same time. It just makes the run so much more efficient, and it makes your collective decision making of which symbol to pick so much easier. What you need to look out for is to pick a symbol that is not like the others. For example, it could be the one without the circle around it, while the others would be circled. Or it could be the other way around. Or it could be one that's colored in, kind of filled in color, while the others would be all kind of more wiry, more like an outline, drawn as an outline. So you're getting my drift here, hopefully. There should be add-ons by now that semi-automate this process, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not using any. It's up to you if you want to research curseforge.com and try and find something there. Really up to you. If you are not sure as a tank, someone else in your group, statistically by now, by the time you're watching of this video, statistically someone in your group knows better already how it works, so just wait. And the more times you do it, the more you will pick up the pattern, you will just start seeing exactly where to go. Once you think that you found the exit, or once someone in your group has found the exit, that person or you needs to just approach the mist-covered exit, and if this is the right entrance, the mist will clear and you will get through. If it is the wrong exit, then it will teleport you right to the very start of the maze. So when you're just struggling with the very first, let's call it room, yeah, first area, it's not an issue because it just teleports you a few meters back. But if you are already on like 5th or 6th room, it is quite a bit of an extra run. So that is the only thing to be aware of. As a tank, it's not much there to do as far as the tanking is concerned. Now, once you enter the area of the mist revealed area, there will be those misty mobs that will be spawning. They are relatively large groups. They are 4 to 5 mobs groups. They quite often those mobs, they will be casting a channeled kind of cone attack that probably would do quite a bit of damage. It reminds Fist of Fury of the monks in terms of visual, in terms of the effect. It's a cone attack, channeled attack, that probably on Mythic Plus would be doing quite a bit of damage, but in normals, heroics, I'm not gonna say ignore it, but as a tank, turn them away from your friends if you can. It does get a tiny bit hectic there, it kind of goes all over the place, but I have not personally had much of an issue with that, hopefully you will not either. Now the Mistcaller. Mistcaller is the second boss. She's annoying, she's the cause of all these mists, she's the cause of the maze. If you care about the story of the place, I don't particularly, I just don't like her voice and I don't like what she looks like, because it's just not my aesthetics, so to speak. It is one of those annoying fairies. She has the same mechanic as the maze. She disappears periodically and spawns the clones of herself, with the symbol above them. You need to pick the one that's not like others, kill it, then she reappears and you switch back to the boss. It's as simple as that. As a tank, it's a really just dash around, run around a little bit. There is nothing to really keep an aggro off, so to speak, so it's not really an intense tanking fight. Just don't get hit by her ball, which gets telegraphed very, very nicely by an arrow on the ground, very hard to miss. If it hits you or any other members of your group, which would be silly, to be honest with you, to be hit by that, then if I'm not terribly mistaken, because it happened like once in dozens of runs that I've done of Mists of Tirna Scithe, people freeze for a bit. So it probably, in Mythic Plus, it probably would count. In Normals, Heroics, and even Mythic Plus 0, I can't imagine that it would be too horrible. Then you jump off the waterfall, make sure you hit the water or you will die. And you go ahead a little bit, you start pulling the gorms, those gorms. You start pulling them. If you're a leather worker, hooray to you, because you can also skin them very nicely for quite a bit of nice leather. You pick a path. You could go either straight across those little islands kind of ahead of you, or you could go right. I personally, look, sometimes people are overzealous and my DPS already starts pulling and goes ahead. It's fine. It's not a huge issue. I hate when people do that. Every tank does. But it's not an issue if they went straight. I personally prefer turning right. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if you turn right, it's like one pull less. I think it's a little shorter. It's a little shorter in terms of the pulls. It's less obvious, but I think that's what it is. Gorms, biggest issue with the Gorms is that they do poison AoE, don't stand in it if you can, and they also do knockback. I don't actually know exactly which ability does it. I kind of didn't dissect my own footage that precisely, just be aware that they knock people back. And I think best thing to do as a tank, try not to stand your back towards the edge of an island, because that is like asking for trouble. Whatever there is to knock you back will knock you back. And the problem also is that you have to run quite a long way. If I'm once again not mistaken, if you die at this stage by falling off an island, it teleports you, like you resurrect, like graveyard, so to speak, is at the start of the maze. Is at the very start of the maze, so you'd have to run through the whole maze. There wouldn't be mists, but you would still have to run the whole way. It's not like you spawn at the top of the waterfall, unless Blizzard is merciful, and by the time you're watching this video, maybe sometime into the future compared to when I'm recording it, maybe they have patched it, hotfixed it, because it's just inconvenient. It's just a slowdown and inconvenience. It's not a challenge, but it is really, really, really annoying. So you clear the mobs and you get to the final boss, Tredova, who looks like our dear friend G'huun. With G'huun / Tredova, it's easy as a tank. Once again, get her attention, don't stand in bad, interrupt when the Deadly Boss Mods add-on tells you to interrupt, and that's about it. That's nothing to worry about here. I suspect that I'm probably missing some hidden ability or some hidden kind of mechanic that maybe reveals only in Mythic Plus. Let me know in the comments down below, but other than that, as a tank, you will be alright. And that's it, my friends, that's all there is to know about the Mists of Tirna Scithe. Ardenweald, lovely place. I like it. I do like it. I find the maze a tiny bit annoying, especially at the start of Shadowlands. No one knew the path. Patterns appeared to be all jumbled. Now we still make mistakes, but we kind of got used to them. This is really the maze is the only real challenge here. It's not the bosses. It's not the bosses. The bosses are probably the easiest of all Shadowlands dungeons that I've seen so far, maybe with one or two exceptions. I quite like Tirna Scithe, especially if there is someone who knows how to navigate very effectively. I've seen really good DPS that when I'm engaged with the Misty mobs while I'm tanking them, they already are running around from stump to stump to stump to already know where we're going next. I've seen that done many times, thanks to you if you're that DPS, from my tanking perspective, from my warm tanking heart. If you've learned something, if this was enjoyable, if this was informative or at least entertaining for you, this little video, please honor me with a little like, because every vote counts. YouTube wants to know that you like my content, not just subscribe, not just watching it, but liking it, so that it can show it to more people, because the more of us here, the merrier, the more motivated I am to also produce better content for you, my friends. Thanks very much for being with me. Videos are being still released twice a week. Stick around, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll talk to you very soon. See you later.